Two. Awesome. Good morning. Um, yeah, kind of. If you want to do that, I would wait till the last minute for me to pretty much set everything up. So I'm always like in a rush moment when I'm preparing for these podcasts and these streams. So I'm kind of one of those people too that lays down in bed and they're starving, and it's just like I don't want to get up though. And then you only get up right when your hunger, starvation makes you more uncomfortable than how comfortable the bed is. So then I finally get up, and then by that time I'm like, all right, I gotta like actually hurry up. Um, so that's fun. So yesterday I wanted to do this podcast. This is the topic I wanted to do yesterday. However, I felt like I needed to do um, the eBay one yesterday because of the fact that we are um, that goes directly to what I'm doing here and what I used to prepare. Like all the tools that I used I discussed on my eBay podcast yesterday, on the second, April 2nd, is how I was able to get the tools for the Google interview. And I think it's important to put that context together so that everyone has an understanding of, oh well, there's no excuse. Well, there are always going to be people that have excuses, but there's no easy way to say like, well, this person has this available to them, or they make X amount of money. It's easy to say that now because you are not at an entry level, so it's harder for it. This is a bunch of excuses, right? But I like to put everything in context so that way everything leads to certain things. So in order for me to get to the position that I'm at, there were like very 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 tough steps that I had to go through, and other people had to even go through even deeper ones, which I like. That's why I like to interview different folks. Rudy wasn't even allowed to have a computer, right? So, and he did his OSCP. If you guys didn't catch that podcast, go check it out. It's a episode one of Let's Talk Tech. It just posted it a few days ago. We did it about a week ago, so that was pretty interesting. OSCP certified, and yeah, so it's really cool. And so I like to have more discussions with people to see what they've gone through and how they push themselves to achieve certain things. But in any case, for me, so I interviewed with Google, and one of the things for me was it was really awesome because at the time I never thought. It's still an incredible thing. I'm very proud of the fact that I went through the process. It was the most difficult interview I've ever done. Very technical, very lengthy. It had everything. Technical questions and then personality stuff and just like all that kind of in its own little box and and it took a long time. So the first initial contact was like one day, and then a month later it was like 5 interviews or 4 interviews in a row, just back to back, but no stopping. So it wasn't like a thing where, okay, now they're gonna ask you this. Oh, or the next one's gonna be with the network engineer or with a sysadmin. So there's no. It's all right, cool. All right, so he should be here in a moment. Please stand by. They hang up. They hop into the call. It's just like, dude, there's no time to prepare, right? So okay, cool. I'll prepare for the networking stuff now. For system stuff. Da, da, da. It was no time for me to do any of that. But I did know. Google gives you if you reach out and ask, oh, this is um, what we're going to test you on, right? Or cover. These are general topics. So I first thing I did hopped on YouTube and seeing if there was other videos like this that people got interviewed. However, no one, not at least that I've seen, has posted a video about like data center technician. That's what I applied for, data center technician. So everyone's like software related, software engineering, things of that nature. So I was like, why not just do the on a network administrator, system administrator position, applying for a data center technician. And then just give you an idea of what a data center technician does at this position. For me, it was the title was a step down, in my opinion, but the company was like a big leap. So the fact that I was just even gonna, the way I look at it was, I'm getting into the door with Google with this position, so I'm willing to take the title cut uh, just to get into Google, right? So just to have Google in my name, a bunch of small companies, and boom, Google. I think that would have been really cool and it would have been an awesome story. Now I get the story about how I didn't get it, right? So okay, I didn't like get that connection right away. I didn't get the Google interview, uh, but maybe one day I'll try again. Who knows? If they're hiring after all this, right? So what happened, right? So, oh, actually, real quick, the data center technician. So I did research on what it did and all that. And for Google, you have to prepare for like for companies like for big companies like that, not just Google. Rudy mentions in his OSCP Let's Talk Tech interview is that um, he didn't get it for not knowing. The likelihood of him not getting it was because it's most likely because of the fact that he wasn't able to answer some of the questions regarding Switch's history. The Switch is a company here in Vegas, but it's a very big organization, and the reason why the likelihood of him not getting it because of that was very high because that was the only thing he felt he didn't have an answer for or got wrong during the interview. I don't want to say test, but it's not a test, it's interview. So for big companies like that, you have to do research. You have to do what does Google does. Having the applications at the top of your head, like Google Keep, Google Drive, like things like that. How they operate, how they mingle, how these um, applications connect with each other, their ecosystem, right? So I did a lot of research on what the data center technician does. Essentially, what it is that you're you are, I don't want to say administrator, but it's like you are someone who replaces the hardware. You are the one who fixes the servers. You're the one who's like setting up, for example, like 50 PCs, 100 PCs, and you all gotta like set them all at once, or you gotta set up all the servers at once, or you gotta spin up a bunch of VMs. Um, Yourself with engineers work together. They kind of like plan it, and then you deploy it, type of thing. Where uh, using you heavy it's heavy on scripting, and if you already don't know, but Google has their own version of Linux, so it's very close to CentOS. So there's it's very heavy Linux questions and heavy scripting questions. So um, those are the things I studied, right? And obviously networking, all that. So I didn't even. What's great part about this is that that's how you know whether or not you are prepared enough for the position that you're applying for. Do you have to study everything that they're requiring you to know, or is only some pieces? And for me, it was only some pieces, right? It was Linux and scripting. Those are the two things that I knew about, and I've studied before, and I've worked on it, but not at a very high level that Google requires you to. So I went ahead and I already had a book that I had bought a while ago, which is this one here. You know what? I didn't even talk about that. So yeah, so the data center technician works with engineers, and it's your hardware and also system heavy. So you're both, and you're kind of like the do it all tech. You're the technician at the data center, and you have to pass. Like in my opinion, I think, and this is all just me referencing based on security that I've experienced here in Nevada, but because of the data center and it's like a big, like all the core servers are there, it's really big. So uh, this I think you have to pass like security background checks and all that. It's a only certain people can access the data center in itself because of its importance and all that. I'm pretty sure they have like um, so like certain access. I would be surprised if they didn't have like rotating access where like you can access it one day, but you can access it another day depending on your schedule of shift. And that's one of the reasons why, and we'll talk about that after, why I was kind of hesitant on not doing it, but at the same time it's cool. So like it's crazy not to want it. But um in any case, so that's what it does. So you're like a system guy, you're supposed to just fix everything. Like everything that's broken and you need to travel somewhere and fix it, you're the guy who's fixing it, all like everything. So and you escalate as needed. So that's pretty much that's what it does. So based on the recruiter, right? They're in-house recruiting. So it's Google. They have positions built on just hiring people. So this recruiter reached out to me. Well, I applied. They reached out to me, and then so I was like, okay, great. Like, and this was God, like 8 months ago, maybe. So I was like, okay, great. What am I going to be prepared for? Well, and then she said, oh, they got to ask you these questions. Okay, great. So so before that, yeah, they're gonna ask you some of these questions. Um, take a look, and then I already started doing this work. So when I asked her, "What are you gonna cover?" And this was the first like phone call. Oh, they're gonna cover this, and it was like Linux and networking, system questions and networking. And I said, "Is it more Windows based or Linux based?" She said it's Linux based. So I did my research and I found out that Google does their own version. So I was like, great. So it's gonna be heavy on Linux. So just focus on Linux. So this is a book I read, and I actually gave this to my technician at work. But I read this book, a bunch of highlighted everywhere. So, and what I did was I selected. There's like 30 chapters in here. I think I fully read 15 chapters, but then I glanced over the other ones. There's other like intro, how to set certain things up, and those are stuff I skipped. And I didn't have time at that moment. I didn't have time to read thoroughly through the whole thing. Right? It's again learning versus certifications. So remember, I said getting certified, like getting a Linux Plus certification, gets you more in-depth knowledge and gets you certified. Right? So, however, learning gets you knowledge quickly, and whatever catches. So whatever you learn during that short period of time is what you grasp. If you need to pick it up again, just read it again and just kind of refresh your knowledge, because you're not trying to get certified at this point. So you're just trying to learn. So this is perfect example. So I was learning here. It was just like reading shit. So I got this book and I have a server. Again, referencing my eBay podcast yesterday. So go check that out if you haven't. And then it shows how I researched servers and how to buy stuff and all that. So I had the server. I spinned it up. I set up two VMs, Manjaro and Ubuntu. Yeah, because they're like two different distros and have two different commands. So I was like messing with just the command lines, so that way I can understand two different variations of it. It's Debian. I forgot what the other one is. But um, there's different commands to like install stuff and all that. It's essentially the same thing, but there's like slight variances. And so I wanted to be comfortable with like just always like challenge myself, right? So also was having fun with this because I always like Linux. It's always something that I always wanted but never did. So it's like having that like I always wanted a truck. I never bought it because it's kind of ridiculous. Same thing with Linux. Never right when I installed Linux on my laptop, my girlfriend's computer broke, so then I gave her my laptop, so that's gone, right? So uh, but yeah, there's always it's more convenience factor with Windows. A bunch of excuses why, right? So more comfortable, so I always go to that. But now, so I was like, there was a legit reason for me to learn Linux. So now I popped open on my server, and it was like it was in the summer. It was really hot, and I think it was like buzzing all the time. I try to go to sleep and leave it on, so that way I just come again back to referencing an earlier podcast, making things easier for yourself to learn. So leave stuff on, don't turn it off. Make yourself a clean environment, so that way it's easy for you to like enjoy sitting down. So yeah, so I had to shut it off because it was so loud. The fans was spinning, so I'll turn it on. Go eat breakfast. No, I think I'll turn it on. No, I wake up, eat breakfast, read, turn it on, then lab for like 3 hours, 3 4 hours, then like read again my notes, and then just go to like chill after that. So yeah, and at that point I was employed, so I was actually studying like 6 to 8 hours a day. I was legit just like on this book. So I would read a chapter a day, and sometimes two chapters a day. Uh, so initially, when I first the start of it was I read like a few chapters, and then I like researched common questions you get with Linux. So I kind of like built all this like hodgepodge of information that entry level should know. And I made I don't think did I make flashcards? I don't think I made flashcards. Maybe I made flashcards. I don't remember. This is a while ago. So possibly made some flashcards, and it kind of like went over some of these questions and all these questions. So then when I got the interview call, I actually was answering some of these stuff before he actually had a chance to ask them. So he would reference this, I would answer it, then do another one, do another one, do another one, and then he was like, "Oh, okay, okay." So the interview went quick. So I got the call. I got like, "Okay, great. Like, we're gonna call you. I think I'm gonna set you up for another." Da, da, da. I'm like, "How did I do?" I was like super nervous. I was like, "How did I do?" Like, da, da, da. And he's like, "Well, I can't tell you this, but whatever." Look forward to it, whatever. And I never heard back. Um, so and then like a month later, I replied, I'm like, hey, what you want the status? I know you guys said it takes a while, and they're like, no, 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 it's great. Like, boom, like a week later, oh, you got an interview now. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I guess they forgot about me. I don't know. So I was like, okay, great. So I sent out. So then, just okay. In 2 weeks, you have this interview because you go back and forth with some of their staff because you interview so many people, and I guess like they were building something, so there's not like a lot of it was like hard to get people in the same room, and they couldn't get me to travel because like something was happening. I don't know. So they actually wanted me to go into a data center and like do the whole nine, which I feel like I would have been able to sell myself more in person, but instead I had to do like a Zoom. Google Hangout. So okay, so then like so I really started diving into this book, right? This was my Bible. I was reading this thing, understanding like just the core concepts, how file structures work, and some of the stuff I skipped because like some of the text, creating text documents and all that, like I didn't need to know that. I actually didn't know how the system structured. Overdid it. Looking back now, I overdid it on Linux because on top of this, I took this course on Udemy, and it is. I wish now, why doesn't it give you? All right, so learn Linux in 5 days and level up your career. Right, this is like $12, and then this is a. I want to give the author. Who's the author at, man? See if I can. Yeah, so I clicked. I was like wondering why only have like 21%. It's because like some of the stuff is like setting up your VM. Like you don't need to like it depends. Like if you starting from that scratch, I didn't need to do that. I already have a VM set up, or yeah, all that set up. Like I also based on the book, I already understood the difference between certain things. So I didn't need that introduction, so I skipped those features too. And I hate how this thing is like lagging on me right now. So right now I'm in udb.com for everyone who's just on audio. So this is it right here. Learn Linux in 5 days and level up your career. This is what I used. Now let's dive back into it. I just wanted to show the picture and kind of how it looks, so that way when you guys search on Udemy, you guys can actually reference to it. It's a good book. I mean, that's a good video series just because it breaks down the basics. It's really not super complex, but also hits the points of what you're trying to do, and then it allows you to lab it up very easily. And I think for somebody who's just trying to get started and just like know what to do and the basic fundamentals, this is a good valued course. So, um, boom, boom. So it's like this is all the stuff that goes like day two, like see 5 5 days. So this is the 5 day stuff I did prior to the actual interview. So I waited a week before and then 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, and then it was the interview, or like one rest day and then the interview. Um, Scripting files, understanding LS output, all this stuff. Like, and I quizzed myself, did the whole nine. I also put like there's also downloadable resources. You can cheat sheet, just like all that stuff. It's really, this thing is like super valuable. Those two things. Now, when so I didn't pass. So one of the reasons why I didn't pass was because again I was too heavy on Linux. It's funny. It's like you would think that wouldn't be the case, but in actuality, what I feel like I failed was actual scripting. They ask you, give me examples of scripting, like something you actually write out. So for me, I'm not as versed as I would have liked. I think I buried myself too much in Linux. So after my Google interview, and again, um, my advice to everyone is that when you fail at achieving something, take that as a positive, and all right, that was a great learning experience. I had fun. I had fun experiencing that. That was fun. It was awesome. How can I be better next time so I won't fail? Those are the type of things that I always take from experiences like that. So, and also look at this, I'm leveraging it for you guys' content, right? Content for you guys. So, so for me, like once I failed it, I already had that one. So I bought this Red Hat certified. I bought Linux Red Hat certification prep. Bought that one. So the admin, and then this is engineering one, and Linux bootcamp, Linux administration, and then I bought yeah, learn Python programming masterclass, learn Linux security hardening, physical security guide, Linux for engineers, practical Linux GNS3. I think that was for networking. I learned this one, Linux mastering, Linux command line, and automate the boring stuff with Python programming. So I bought more Linux and automate boring stuff, just because I want to leverage Linux for automation, right? So this is, I heard, is a perfect book, and then this one is enough. Learn Python programming masterclass, and then Python automating boring stuff, and more Linux stuff, just because I think that would be beneficial. Period. So using Linux and Python in conjunction, I feel like if I apply again for a data center technician, I'll actually get it now. So that's kind of like what I took from it, right? Um, Also allowed me to put myself in perspective. The fact that I was actually sitting down, I was that close. Like I was so close getting in there, and it's super awesome, right? From somebody, I remember my mom was telling me, "Oh, like one day you can probably work for Google." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, mom." Like they hire programmers. Like I'm not a programmer. Mom doesn't know. Like at that stage, now she understands the difference now, but back then she didn't understand the difference, and I was just like, and I didn't know that they had own data centers. I didn't know they. I thought they always outsourced some of that stuff, and I think they still do in some form, so that way they don't have to pay so many people. They hire contractors, and contractors come in and they do the work to save some money. But I think at the core, people, they still have a core team, right? Just like every other organization. Like they have their own MSP, they have an outsourced MSP, but at the same time they have in-house IT. So uh, I took this out as an opportunity. It's like, you know what, this is an experience. This is going to be amazing, and I wonder how they interview, what do they do, what's the differences, and and people there are great. I never, I didn't, nothing really stood out to me either. On They weren't really particularly nice or mean, right? They were just like good, cool people. They're respectable. There wasn't, I didn't have a bad experience interviewing with them. The recruiter was super nice though. That was for sure. They're very responsive, and yeah, I can't really say anything negative about the staff that interviewed me. Now, there's some places where you interview, staff is great. It's like, oh man, like that sucked. That food was real cool, or she was awesome. Like, da 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 da. And but in other places, like, oh, it sucks. I didn't. I don't think that was like weird. I don't even know if I want. That sucks that I had that interview experience. I really want to work there, type of thing. But yeah, the interview experience was like okay, wasn't anything. It was very challenging. I think I was also very nervous, just because it was like so excited. I was very excited. That's honestly what it is, because it's like I kept thinking like, what if I get the offer? Like, what if I get the offer? Like, I actually get an Google offer letter and for this position, and I was just like, dude, that'd be fucking crazy. Like, it's amazing, right? So just given from my background and where I came from, and then working there, it's just like I felt like it would have been like super big, ginormous leap. And the fact that I was there, I was that close, right? It just puts you more in perspective on how far you're going. Because sometimes when you're like working on stuff, you feel like you're not. You have this imposter syndrome, and you feel like you're not meeting the standards. You're not. There's always someone. Obviously, there's always people better than you, but um, you're looking at yourself like you're not good enough ever, right? Sometimes you can feel that, especially when you're trying stuff and you're not, it's like you're not getting it right away. It takes more time, and you feel like you're always just kind of like grinding it out, just battling through like the tests or challenges at work, or something broke and you couldn't fix it, and then you had to wait a few days and you finally fixed it. You kind of just like going through these steps, right? Going through the mud is a good analogy, and you realize when you zoom out, it's like the mud is like um, it's not so like the mud is there, but then there's like a shower thing there. You're like, oh, I didn't see that, because you're only seeing like a few feet in front of you. But then if you go like 10 feet out, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, just go through this real quick. I'm gonna hop out. I'm gonna go take a shower. I can rest. Get some coffee. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like this is nice. Like, oh, I've gone so far. You turn around and you're like, damn, like, way, like, I remember, and you keep telling these stories where you came from and all these bad experiences you had and all this negativity, da, 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 and you look back and you realize, man, that was 15 years ago, right? It's like, wow. And you look back and it's like an analogy, you're looking back and it's so many miles away, and you're like, you don't even see it anymore. You have these glimpses of memories that you hold on to that bring down your insecurity, or bring out your insecurity, I should say. um, and then you get some of these experiences like this where you realize how far you've gone, because you've been so focused on just a few feet. You look up and you're like, damn, I've gone a while. It's been, I'm not doing this to really just toot my own horn, but it's like a whole thing where appreciate where you're at, right? You appreciate where you're at, like put your life a little bit more in perspective. Um, and these little small steps uh, can get you somewhere where you don't even realize you could have been. And I didn't. I remember I applied to Google, I think twice, and then I applied like 2 years ago too. I didn't get it. I didn't get the call, and then I applied twice, and then randomly I got it, right? And I got let go, and then I got like a month later or something like that. I got called. It's like, what? Like, cool, right? It's like working out. Um, but which made me hungry, right? It allowed me to have the time, because I was pretty much had 2 weeks to prepare, which is studying. I had a whiteboard of all the chapters I wanted to do that day or whatever. I like mark them down. So, and I went to into the interview thinking out full expectation to like blow it. I was like, they're probably gonna ask me some stuff and I have no idea about, and I'm gonna have to tell like, I'm sorry, like I'm not familiar with that or whatever. And no, the only one was, again, the scripting thing was the very end. But yeah, it's and look at these tools that are huge. Like, I spent These were all like $12 each when I bought them. But so like $12 for the boot camp, the 5 day boot camp, and then this was $24 a while back. So for about under $50, and then my server, right? And my server, don't forget that. So my server spinning, do the whole nine. I got the rack here and all that. So that was like $300, right? So all these little bits and pieces that I built throughout my career, like when I needed them, like I bought them, referenced them when I needed to. Again, like I said, I use a server for other stuff at work, my old jobs, and then now I used it for preparation for an interview. Like a lot of these like little cheap parts, and you guys may think like, okay, well, some people who don't may not know about servers and all that, but a $300 server at your house is extremely cheap. In reference to something even close to brand new, which is like $2,000 to $3,000, right? Imagine a very very expensive computer is about equivalent to a very 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 cheap low grade server, brand new. So if you get something used at $300 or less, that's about a $2,000 to $3,000 server, brand new. Uh, when it was back then, like it was, if it was new now, it'd be 3 grand. If you fast forward about 5 years, it's now, well, actually maybe more, maybe like 10 years. So I have to look at the gem. This is depending on whatever, depending on a lot of factors. Point is that if it was brand new, it'll probably be like 2 3 grand. Now it's about $200 to $300 with hard drives. So, and you don't need something that's robust. You can't just need something for it to work for about a year. Like if you do solid labbing and solid stuff for a year and for $300, that'll give you more experience than a certification will. Like, and for example, um, like an A plus. If you get the A plus and study, take the test, that's about like $200 in investment, like $500, 50 bucks. I'm sorry, $50 for the book, $150 for the test. Actually, no, I think it's more. Because I was about to say, I think it's more money to take the test. Because I think right here you can refer to like by exam. Yeah, my internet's like so garbage right now because of the look at shit, man. Exam a voucher, $226 plus a $50 book. That's like ish, right? So maybe under, maybe you can get it for $20. So $250, right? So that'll get you certified, right? That's a certification test. Now with a server under $300, for $300 you get a server and you plug it in. You don't even, you can put it on the floor. All right, plug it into your Netgear router you have from Comcast, whatever ISP you got. Get your laptop that you have or desktop, plug it into it, start labbing it. In conjunction with this, or just do that at while you're working at Kohl's and buy a cookbook, which is another, let's just say $50, right? So $350 versus $250. You get a server, a book, a cookbook. You do lab, put that in a resume. Say Linux administration, whatever, Linux, Windows administration, all the stuff you've done, whatever. 1 year experience with the following, and then you have like all your Windows Server stuff. You study, you do all that, and then you apply. I bet you will get around the same interviews as a A plus certification, right? Just because a lot of places don't put that as a minimum. A lot of people who are in IT don't have a certification or aren't certified. You'd be surprised how many people are not certified. They get hired based on real world experiences. Oh, I've done this, done that. They've sold themselves based on a conversation that they had with the interviewer, and they got lucky, right? So again, luck and timing. Like you have to be in the right person at the right time frame and some luck to get the job. Because, like I said in other podcasts, they might be in a bad mood, they might not like you, maybe the perfect buy. So again, like the server stuff at home, labbing it, doing some real world stuff that applies directly to enterprise level equipment is extremely beneficial. I would say it may be equally beneficial to very low level certifications. So if you do both, right, if you do this A plus in conjunction with the server and just do all that, that'll be extremely amazing. Just because you get double the stuff, you like A plus certification, you get certified, and you get some of that experience. So, um, yeah, like I would invest as you can, right? If you feel like you still kind of need some of that just kind of like reading material to kind of get you started because you don't even know what to do with the server and type of stuff like that. Like, go ahead and read the A plus. I would always read a server book first, just because you're directly relating to a server. A plus kind of teaches you how a computer system turns on, turns off, what a processor is and does. It's just a processor. What does a RAM do and does? What are the like meanings to certain things? Kind of like jargon, right? Like I said, I don't know if you need. The thing is that book that I took the exam and failed it, right? Like I said before on other podcasts, like I didn't. I studied it to learn it, not study it to get certified, which is again the difference, in my opinion, where certification you are super in depth. Learning is you understand the basic concepts and you understand certain things if you read it a few times, but you don't have it to memory like that. I never wanted to have it at that point. But in any case, so that's what I did, right? I used my home lab. I used Udemy, 5 day training boot camp for Linux, and then this book. And this book helped me a lot too. I did like some one of the buddies at my old job. He gave me some like security games. And you go and like find files and go through stuff and use Linux. I use this book to reference some of the stuff because you forget like listing hitting items, hidden files, and navigating to stuff and changing directories and stuff like that. You forget, like if you don't use it enough, you're always gonna forget stuff. So I use this as a reference. Probably gonna buy it again because I gave it to my tech. So that way, I wanted him to be. We have a Linux server at my job, so I kind of wanted him to be like my system guy. I have him do an AWS too, and just so that way, look, I preach. Like I practice what I preach, right? So I have AWS. I purchased a master class for the DevNet DevOps right track to be a DevNet engineer, developer for AWS, and then I have these vSpheres understanding of what just like the up to date versions of VMware, right? vSphere and vSAN. So yeah, here it is, Control SAN. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much kind of wrapped it up on my Google interview, right? What I did, what I've learned, and maybe try it again. Oh, no, I didn't even read this one off. Python developer, zero to mastery. So yeah, about three things after my Google interview. So 3 and 3. So what I learned there is honestly, I have the most intense interview that I've ever been in. Pretty much, I don't think any other interview um, like matches in intensity that I've had yet. So even before I had people go in there and take literally a test, like 40 question test. Boom, here's the thing. All right, see you later. Versus this one where it's like back-to-back interviews, all kinds of different technical questions coming from different areas. It's about 30 minutes each to 45. So it was about 4 of them in one day. Then a phone call interview. And then there was Linux. It was like Linux scripting and networking. Those are kind of like what I would do it again. I would, for me, I would switch them. I would put scripting, Linux, and then networking in the very end. Because I pretty much actively study that now on a daily basis. So, yeah, that's my advice to you. Whenever you fail something, you attempt to fail, again, fail, just keep take it as learning experiences and put that in your book in your library of like knowledge, and then keep trying, right? And then for Google itself, if you're looking at this to prepare yourself for Google, real world examples, and then look up top basic Linux questions, and then look up those. They always like file structure is a big one. How to like list something, processes, like, and I've had interviews where I had Linux questions. Also use old interviews, apply it to this one. It's like, all right, what did they ask me before? This is what I'm gonna like for sure get this time. All right. And then pretty much they're all kind of the same. They all pull from the same questions. It's like Windows Server. They always ask you the same question: what's the DNS? What's DHCP? What's ports? What's RDP port? Like the basic questions that they ask. Maybe I should do a podcast on that, like 5 Windows Server questions and 5 Linux questions that a system administrator interviewer will, or I guess interviewee, yeah, will ask you for this for a system administrator position, whether it's Linux or Windows Server. Just got experience with both now, and not just with Google. I've had several ones, even moving me out of state again for a Linux administrator and Windows, like a hybrid one. So I had a few interviews, and I've passed majority. I think Google's the only one I didn't pass for the Linux stuff. So, and then I think I got the Linux stuff down, but I just didn't get the scripting. So, which I thought I was able to do enough, but I guess not. So, those questions are hard. So yeah, like so again for a data center technician, uh, scripting, Linux, networking. And yeah, just be positive. Try not to be so nervous. And that's kind of my feedback. So and get that home lab. I'm telling you guys, get that home lab. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Really appreciate you guys. Peace.